Now, I'm not gonna lie, the Brilliant Healer's new life here is way better than I was expecting. I walked in thinking maybe at most it would be fun, but I legitimately vibed with this show. And that was before they actually twisted the whole slavery trope, which is often questionable in the anime medium, but this one actually did it so oddly wholesome. Here's the thing though, they did everything in this show in such an unorthodox way. The first half like barely focused on the MC. It was all who I just thought was going to be the generic harem, but in fact, the dynamic with all the girls on this show who have fantastic character designs, but honestly equally memorable personalities, was a very pleasant surprise. But then you deal with this underground healer, where healers are madly respected in this show, right? Like they're like that's like the number one career path, but we're dealing with someone who's underground, who does things, probably not completely legally, but seemingly has a great clientele. And the idea of having a character with his deep voice could easily go off the deep end, be a psychopath in any other show. In fact, he's just like, I do service, you pay me. That's how this works. So when he ends up freeing this slave girl from this like abusive owner, and he's like, okay, strip down. I'm like, okay, here we go. It's gonna ruin the goodwill the show's built up. In fact, he's like, no, I had to inspect the goods because she was sick. And then he sees that she clearly has something in her stomach, heals her, and then he's like, okay, in order to pay this back, you're gonna have to pay up. Can you point me to where these herbs are? Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Rips up contract. This girl is literally willing to defile and sell herself because that's what is expected from a slave in this world. And he's like, what are you talking about? I fixed a stomach issue. You brought me to herbs I would not find otherwise. More than equal payment. Alright, see ya. Was not expecting that at all. This show, surprisingly, from top to bottom, has to be just pure enjoyment. I like the characters, I like the look of the world, there's not a single red flag. And when I thought they were going to introduce a red flag, they did slavery better than the last time I complimented it, which was in possibly The Greatest Alchemist, which legitimately handled it in an isekai way fairly well. But this one's even better. Like, this is actually a great first episode. I thought I might have a little bit of fun. I wasn't expecting that I was going to vibe with it the same way I did something like a level 2 super cheat powers or something like that. Like, this show was legitimately fun. Of course, you want to see my full thoughts on this episode, support my work, we got the Patreon, full and cut live reactions over there exclusively. So I was ready to be okay not knowing much about the MC because, like I said, the first half of this episode, it like barely touches upon him. We just kickstart, he lives in this house and he has an elven child with him. I'm like, okay, let's see if they get weird with this. I guess it's like a little sister, family dynamic. I mean, I doubt she'll feel that way, but at the end of the day, like, despite so many of these characters always coming around, it seems like he's just the type of guy who he's probably helped each of them. They've all paid up, whether that be money or service, and, afterwards they probably just stick around because they're friends at that point. And I think that's what makes him interesting, is you could have easily wrote this as, like, you had this very soft MC who's like, I just did this from the goodness of my heart. And that can work, but that's what we often see. And instead we have a guy who's, like, not ruthless about it. He's just like, listen, if I do service, you pay. There's a moment that actually caught me off guard because I misunderstood it, because he's an underground healer. So he probably does stuff from the goodness of his heart and doesn't really know. Like, there's this guy who he puts, like, a handful of change, and probably, I don't think he looks poor, but he's not wealthy by any stretch, and he's like, hey, thanks boss, here's your payment. And when he says don't worry, like, you're fine, but then he finishes like, don't worry, as long as I get payment, that's all that matters. So it's like, he will help anyone in need, but he also gives me the vibe that, like, if a dying child was to walk in with their mother, right, and she literally had nothing, I get the impression he would probably go the route of, I'm going to get payment via the smallest thing that's not going to inconvenience you. Like, that's the vibe I get from him. Or, take as long as you need to pay me back, even if it takes 80 years, I don't care. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't seem like a scumbag. And I think it's interesting how we got a taste of both the poverty side and the nobility side in this world, and how he interacts with both. He saved that dude. He could have let him die, but no, he's a healer. Like, that's his job, is to heal people, whether good, bad, ugly, whatever. He does so, and he gets payment. And in terms of healing the rich guy, he got the slave contract. And with the slave contract, he was able to find the herbs, which then he frees said slave. The whole coming full circle moment was great. And honestly, the fact that he comes back home and, it's just like this wholesome family dynamic, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but at the same time, with anime, I think you often can judge a book by its cover and figure out what characters are going to be like and the vibes of things. This one, not so much. Like, I'm not going to deny the fact that the way the female cast is designed in the show, they could sell mad figures. You got a ghost girl, who's probably my favorite of the designs. You got big titty girls, you got beast girls. Every type of personality in character wardrobe is like on screen, but they're not generic looking. Like, they don't look like insert random blonde hair or blue hair or red hair love interest from the last 10 fantasy shows, right? They all are like very interestingly designed, and I like that. And the first half of the episode was just dedicated on them. The whole gimmick of the first half was that, this elven child, she's like the cook, she makes the food, she wanders out, and these two who come over for dinner just ate the whole damn pot. And when she comes back, she's like, the fuck? Like, she sits there like super calm, like, so why'd you do it? She was one step away from like breaking the table, but doing it in the most calm fashion. That sounds boring as hell at face value, but it was like so fun. It was so cute. I was like, okay, we're gonna have like a slightly funny, humorous slice of life where characters interact with each other. And then the second half shows, I guess, the more serious sides that they could touch upon. And the combination of the whole package was insanely well done for me. Great voice actors, great production. Whatever that ending song or opening song they played at the end was fantastic alongside the visuals. The whole damn package clicked for me. Now, if you're not really a huge fantasy fan or like, I guess, slice of life fan, maybe the show wouldn't be for you, because the first half really was slice of life and then the second half was a little more adventure-y. But I really feel like it showed us the two sides that this show can operate with, and I don't have a single issue with it. I was mad concerned when he said, take it off, I need to inspect the goods. I was like, oh, he's going to be more ruthless than I thought. And the fact that it's like he was inspecting because he needed to see if there's anything that needed healing, because he noticed that she was having a stomachache before. And when he saw that, he's like, oh, okay. Heal. All right, payment. Can you show me where this... It works very well. I've seen great uses of slavery. I've seen horrible uses. I've seen mid, in terms of how they do it and how they either justify it because of the culture in the world or because of, just the way they write it. This was legitimately fantastic use of it. And the best part is that's not even the only part that's good. The actual interactions with all the characters and the fun factor of the show prior to that made for a thoroughly enjoyable episode that has me dying to watch more. I'm sure many will say, it's a whatever show, because if they're not pushing the titties in the character's face, or they're not saying, here's a demon lord that needs to be slain, it's boring to a lot of people who talk about anime online. I love this shit. This was really, really fun. And the last healing anime I really enjoyed was The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic, and this show could probably surpass it, to be honest, if they keep up this level of entertainment for me from that one. And if you watched my videos on Wrong Way, you know how much I love that one. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, so down below, what did you think of the first episode if you had no expectations or you walked in with high expectations? How did you enjoy it? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got My Jets Revis, Kieran Winfield, Goran201, Oj, Mary Lou Botchert, KB, Pavel Kostrev, and we also have Pawn the Lock Hunt. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Y'all have a good one.